a hook is something that you put at the start of any content, whether that's a publication, whether that's a presentation, or even when you're doing press releases. And what I loved about what Nick shared before about how to piggyback on stories that are topical is you can take that message and then put it in a press release. So you get on television and radio, very, very smart thing to do there. But if you add something that's going to hook them in at the very start, they're going to continue to read, watch, and listen more deeply than if you didn't put that hook in from the start.
This is the Business Owners Smashing It Online podcast for entrepreneurs and business owners looking for cool online tools, apps and strategies to make business easy online. My name is Nick Cree and I'm your host. Each episode features a guest expert demystifying the online universe, sharing inspirational ideas and providing tested real-world strategies to help you get the most of what's available online to grow your business today. Don't be a slave to your business, get your business working for you. Subscribe now and get some great content and ideas for you and your business today. All right. That is our cool online tools for this evening. Well, that brings me to the part in the evening that I really look forward to. We get to hear from our guest speaker, and our guest speaker tonight is Russell Pearson, who's going to share with us the cheat codes on lead generation. So anyone here has met Russell before? Anyone heard Russell before? Just give us a thumbs up. Yeah, a couple of us here. Excellent. So we've seen each other around the networks, but this is the first time I was going to say we connected in person, but it's still not in person. It's on a screen. But for those that don't know him, he is known as the business blacksmith. Why is he known as a business blacksmith? Because he is a blacksmith. And in fact, he's an active member of the Australian Blacksmiths Association. So there's a fun fact about him. He's also appeared in the Melbourne International Comedy Festival as well, which means his presentation tonight won't be boring. Hopefully there'll be a few jokes in there as well too. He is an inductee in the Australian Speakers Hall of Fame, but most importantly, he is the host of the Consulting Business Podcast and the Forge Business Program. So let's put your hands together. Welcome to the stage, Russell Pearson.
Fantastic. Thanks for having me here. We are going to go full screen with my face, but that doesn't mean that I'm not going to actually adjust the way that I can see each of you. So I'm going to change my view so it goes gallery so I can see all your lovely faces. And what I loved about what Nick did before is he asked people to come online. So they proved that they could turn their screen on. So Monica, I know that you're there somewhere. All right, so it's fantastic to have you all here. Let's get started. I've got a lot to get through today, but where should we start? Well, I think we need to start all the way back here. 1982. Who remembers 1982? Hands up for those who remember 1982. Most of the people. Some people are going, I don't remember that decade. I don't know what was going on. A lot of drugs, a lot of fun. But the thing that I remember is that back in 1982, there was a massive television that we had in our house. Big television, as big as the sort of televisions you get today, but it had wood paneling and it had a dial that you would actually turn to turn it up and turn it down, right? So if anyone remembers those. What we had on that TV was the real thing that's of interest to me. We had... No, we didn't have that. We did. I mean, that was 1982, if you recall it, but that's not what we had on the television. Maybe we had this one.
Here.
Now, of course, we didn't have that one on the television because that was playing in the cinema, and I was bawling as a child with the "I'll be right here" quote. So what we did have, though, is this. This is the first business experience that I ever had, lemonade stand. Does anyone remember lemonade stand? Hands up if you remember lemonade stand. We got one person, a couple of people, not that many. All right, so this was my first introduction to the world of gaming. So funnily, it was a gaming and business experience. And lemonade stand was this really cool sort of, it was like a game where you would decide based off the weather how many cups you should buy, how many lemons you should buy, and therefore how much money you're going to make from your lemonade stand. fantastic. But I fell in love with gaming there. My father brought home a Commodore 64. This was the game on it. And I fell in love with gaming, and I'm still in love with games today. So we moved from the old lemonade stand, and then we moved on to the Atari, and we had Asteroids. I don't know if you remember that. We moved on to, obviously, the big Nintendo player. Yeah, so we had Mario, and then Mario 64. But really, the thing about 1982 is the most popular kid in the street was the kid who had the cheat codes, right? This is the person who knew how to jump forward in the game, get past all the hard roadblocks, and basically made the game easy to win. So that's what I want to help you with today. I want to make the game of business easier to win. And there's a big reason why I want to do that. You know, when it comes to business, I'm sure you know it. You know, we're past 5 and we're still doing business here today. There is only one thing we really have in business, which is energy, right? There's the energy that we actually had that brought us to here, that enabled us to get the resources, the cash flow, the clients that we have. We've got the energy that we've got to spend in the future. And that's the same limited amount of time that we all have, right? So we've got energy. And so here is a really interesting statistic that I want to share. Go back to this one. So 1982 has changed to this. Does anybody know what this number is about? Feel free to put it in the chat. Feel free to raise your hand. Feel free to, if you know what it is. No one knows what it is. I am actually looking at every single one of you. I see your lovely faces. I will share it with you. It is not a fun statistic. Last year, 443,395 businesses went out of business. In Australia alone. We only have 26 million people in Australia. That's a hell of a lot of business who at the end of the day, didn't go out of business because of financial hiccup, because you can keep limping forward. They didn't go out of business because some crisis. They went out of business because they ran out of energy. So no matter what was happening in their life, whatever was happening in their business, they didn't have the energy to keep going. Now, what's interesting about that number as well is that the year before, it was about 250,000. So it's a huge increase. Huge increase. And so what I want to do today is I want to make sure that this does not happen, right? This does not happen to any of you, because I'm going to be giving you specifically the cheat codes for lead generation to make sure that you don't have to waste time and energy getting your leads. You can actually, life becomes so much easier when you don't have to worry about those sort of things. Is that something that you're happy to receive, a way to not have to spend so much energy, not have to input so much effort? Does that sound something reasonable? Yes? A little show of the hands. Yes? Fantastic. Now, Nick did a fantastic job of having a few of you mention why you are here, what you want to get out of today's session. But I would love every single one of you, including Pete D and Lorena and Fred, who there's a few faces and names that I know here. I would love you to go into the chat and specifically tell me why you want to know more about lead generation. I would love to see what you've got to say. David, I know you said that you want to just know more about more. We can always learn more stuff. 100% we can learn more stuff. But I'm not here to help you learn more stuff. I'm here to help you save energy, get leads that you can turn into prospects and ultimately clients. But I'd love to see what you want to get out of today. Because while I do have a specific list of things that I'm going to share with every single one of you, I would really like to understand how I can make this relevant for the people in the audience. So the people who've actually shown up. So there are people obviously on the recording, but I want to serve the people who've actually taken the time to show up here today. So let's have a look. Jeff, more leads. Absolutely fantastic. Jeff, put in what type of leads you want. Give me the specific type of clients that you want to get leads for. Lead generation is the key to increasing revenue. It's certainly one of the steps. I'd love to, again, know, Mike, what are the leads you want? What is your target market that you want to engage with? Because here's the interesting thing. I worked out last year, I've worked with 276 different industry sectors, which means that I've done marketing in all those different spaces, which means that I know how to get to those people that you want to get to. So new mortgage broker, qualified leads that are affordable is very important, of course. Refine more, learn more, and lead on. Yep, fantastic. Nick doesn't need that. Look, he's even just marketed the little phrase that he put in there. Bigger and better. Yes, please, I want to learn how to make myself more visible online with more healthy leads. Falling short on reaching people who need the product I've worked hard to create. Awesome. All right, Tim, we'll talk more about that as well. More qualified leads, connect with the right people, organizations. Yeah, fantastic. Appreciate every single thing that you put in there, right? So cold outreach, absolutely, Fred, you can do that. Some of the things that I'm going to teach you today are going to help you advance and leverage your energy to enable you to get more out of each of the things I'm going to show you. So let's get started. Let's get into what a bit of a speed run. All right, so remember that one. We're going to get into a speed run. What do we need to focus on when it comes to cheat codes? Well, let's look at number 1. Let's look at the reason first. So if you're creating content and you want it to be more engaging, right? So hands up if you're creating content and you want it to be more engaging, right? People who are creating content, we've got a couple, all right? Well, here is the way that we're going to enable you to improve that. We're going to hook them. So number 1 is hooks. Now, show of hands, who knows what a hook is? There'll be a couple of people. Yes. So what I'm going to give you is 10 new hooks that you can use that'll make every single piece of content more engaging. I'm going to walk through those in just a second. But for those who aren't aware, a hook is something that you put at the start of any content, whether that's a publication, whether that's a presentation, or even when you're doing press releases. And what I loved about what Nick shared before about how to piggyback on stories that are topical is you can take that message and then put it in a press release so you get on television and radio. Very, very smart thing to do there. But if you add something that's going to hook them in at the very start, they're going to continue to read, watch, and listen more deeply than if you didn't put that hook in from the start. So let's have a look at hooks. So these are the 10 hooks that I recommend that people can have a look at. The first one, and again, I'm speed running this, so you're going to have to you're going to have to keep up. Take some notes, people. The surprising statistic. So I know I just did the surprising statistic. So I showed you a statistic that hopefully was surprising for many of you. If it wasn't surprising, then either you already knew about the statistic or it's a sad, sad world we live in to have that many businesses going out of business. So that's something you can start to engage people at the start. Another one could be the question. It could be the big question that you're asking. Now, I tend to look at the difference between you've got closed questions, which is a yes or no. Do you want more leads? All right, yes or no. Or maybe an open question, which is, what specific lead would be the best opportunity for you in your business? Right? That could be a big question that we bring people in on. And by the way, answer that question in the chat. That'd be fantastic. The bold statement, so actually telling people something big and bold that you're going to promise. So that could be a bold statement of something that I'm going to do, something that I have done, something that I'm promising that I'm going to deliver at the end of this. So I'm going to promise you lead generation, in fact, 10 lead generation tips that are going to enable you to become more effective in your lead generation, but to actually get more impact and actually engage people to say yes more often. That's right. So we're going to start that process. Calling out the enemy. Sometimes it's a good idea to throw stones. And I want to just really quickly talk to this because one of the things that people are always trying to do, and I've got a couple of magnets here, right? They're always trying to attract their audience. And sometimes, if you do it really well, that attraction is very, very strong. But for a strong magnet, if you actually switch the alignment, it becomes a very strong repelling force. And so what I find, and I know there's two of me here, but what I find, that guy, is that the thing about repelling is you want to repel all those time wasters, all those people who are not ideal for your target market. And funnily enough, when you repel those people, you actually attract the ones you really, really want. And so there are all sorts of things that you can do in this space to enable. By calling out the enemy, we want to repel the people who are against what we want to have in the place we want to win. So for instance, small business could call out government. It could call, if I was in the world of SEO, I could be calling out, well, SEO is the best. The enemy is advertising. So instead of spending money on advertising, we want to go SEO. So who's the enemy in your world? The weird situation's a funny old one. That could be a piece of content where suddenly you've got the pyramids behind you, but you don't actually say anything about the pyramids. It sort of captures people in. They go, where is he? So the other day, for instance, I shot one where I had 3 kangaroos standing behind me. I never mentioned them, but everyone was like, where are you? Like, why is Russell in front of a couple of kangaroos? So the weird situation is a good way of drawing people in, especially with video, but in all sorts. You could tell a story like I was traveling down the Amazon River. That's the start of the story, and it really hooks people in. So let's have a look at what else we've got. We've got the secret. So this is the thing we're going to reveal, the dramatic secret that we're going to reveal. That's always a good start. Fun facts. Fun facts are interesting because who likes trivia? Like, who likes weird facts and trivia and things like that? Yeah. Most people do. In fact, with newspapers, one of the most popular spaces next to the old cartoons that used to be in the newspaper was the trivia, right? And so you can use trivia as a way of drawing people in. And there's a lot of people on social media who do that. They actually use some weird fact or unusual thing that people probably didn't know to start a conversation. So that's another thing that you can add as your hook. The number of things. So am I doing that here? Yes, I am. The 10 things, right? So that's another way you can bring that in. A dog whistle. Now, who knows what a dog whistle is? I know there's a couple of marketers in the room. Yeah, fantastic. I love the old dog whistle. It's not really the most appropriate way of framing a marketing tactic these days. But I think it was Dan Kennedy, Nick, that created the old dog whistle. He certainly made it popular. But what it is where you call out a specific audience so specifically that it actually repels everybody else that you don't want to attract. So, for instance, within my world, I work mainly with consultants these days. So people who have a consulting business, whether they've got a training business, whether they've got corporate consulting, or maybe they just consult in health. It doesn't really matter as long as it's a consulting business model. And so if I say, if you're a consultant who would like to generate more leads, then you're going to want to watch these 3 steps. That's going to attract more people that are in the right niche for me versus all the other business owners. So with that post, I'm not going to attract plumbers. I'm going to attract more of those consultants. And you can do that same method as well. So going back to the list, we've got the dog whistle, and drum roll, please. The unpopular opinion. So that's stating something that not necessarily everyone agrees with. And funnily enough, you starting a fight sometimes in marketing is a great way of getting attention. Now, I'm not saying you should start fights, but I'm saying you can start fights. But an unpopular opinion is something that draws people in to go, do I agree with what he's saying? Give me the rest of what you're going to talk about so I can see whether I agree, disagree. Do I want to actually get fighty? So these are just hooks. And this is the first one of 10. Right? So there's so many things that we're going to cover today. So we've got the hooks. That's number 1. We're going to go to number 2 in just a second. The number 2 is really for, actually, before I do that, here's a good idea. Has everybody got has everyone got a phone on them? Have you got a phone? Shake your phone at me. You got a phone? You got a phone? There's 1 phone, 2 phone, 3 phone. All right, cool. I've got all this stuff. Like, you can just download all this, right? So if you want to get your phone, and if you want to, let me just put it up on screen for you. I'll put this QR code up on screen. If you take a shot of that QR code, I'll actually send you like the slides from today and all the details. So you'll be able to actually, yes, I know that I'm talking at 1,000 miles an hour, but it'll give you the opportunity to reflect a little bit, have a read a little bit, and get a little bit more information in your own time. So there's some additional resources that I've added in there as well. But let's move on to number 2. It's only number 2. Jeez. All right. So number 2, if you run events and you want to generate leads and you want, if you run events to generate leads and you want more prospect appointments, let me just have a quick see. Who runs events? You run events, 1 person, 2 people, 3 people, 4 people. Okay, so there's a few of you. This is just a very simple strategy, but if you're not doing it, it's going to make the world of difference to how you engage more people. So if you run events and you want to generate more leads, then put a pre-call before the event. Now I'm going to pull my board over and I'm going to go large for a second. Let's say that someone has booked, and we'll turn this on so you can get all bright and shiny. Right, so let's say that someone has booked for your event, okay? Now, fantastic. We know that they're going to come to the event. The event is actually here, and that's a big E, right? If you want to have stronger leads, you will call this person beforehand and you will ask them, do they have the details for the event, right? Have you got the location? Have you got the Zoom details? Whatever it might be. So you are doing a service call. Now, you can also get your VA to do that. You can get your team members to do that, however. But when you're on that call, you say, by the way, what made you decide to book for the event? And they start telling you about the challenge in your event, especially if your event is structured to answer a symptom or a problem they're experiencing. This pre-call is the difference between doubling your bookings, because I get 100% more bookings if I do the pre-call to the post-call. So pre, and then a call afterwards to see how they go. Now, it's a little old hat, but if you want sales, if you want leads, if you want what's better than leads, which is prospects, people who are actually talking about something specific, we call them up, we do the service call, and we move from there. Funnily enough, there are people who say, no one answers the phone anymore. Just call twice. They've got the first one on that does the check, you call back again, you'll get through, right? I used to run a call service for 7 years, and that's the magic of it. Like, people ignore the first call, but not the second. So that is a very simple way for you to increase not only your leads, but the actual prospects that you will get into sales calls, right? So that's number 2. Number 3, excuse me, if you create content on LinkedIn and you want to increase your reach. So let's see, who creates content on LinkedIn and wants to increase their reach? 1, 2, 3. Ray's like, oh yeah, no, Ray, you're in. I love it, Ray. You're in there with us. So let's have a look at what it is that increases your reach in this platform. And it is the LinkedIn newsletter, right? Who has a LinkedIn newsletter? Okay, wow, all right. It's interesting. This is a fascinating one. People don't think about doing a LinkedIn newsletter, but what a LinkedIn newsletter is, for those who are unaware, it's just an article that you then turn into what's called a newsletter, and you can keep submitting articles to this space. Now, what's cool about it, there's 2 very cool things. When you turn your article into the first newsletter, it will share it with pretty much, I'm pretty sure it sends to every single person on your network and says, do you want to subscribe to this? If you have 1,000 connections on LinkedIn, I can almost guarantee you'll get 100 people subscribe. It tends to be about 10%. Those people are now subscribed so that every single time you add an article to that newsletter, listen to this, it doesn't just notify them, it sends them an email. It sends an email directly to their inbox saying, Russell has just launched a new article, and here is the introduction. Incredibly powerful. It's, in fact, as far as I'm aware, it's the only social media that literally will post your content to the people in your network via email. So incredibly powerful. So if you haven't got one of those, especially if you are an expert in your space, I recommend that is definitely one to look at. So the LinkedIn newsletter is the way to go. and just to quickly show you, this is what it looks like from mine. So you've got a Beyond the Trusted Advisor. That's all about consulting for advisors, consultants, and specialist service providers. It sort of collaborates them or collates them into a group. People can subscribe by clicking the button, but the magic is really that it happens. But like the first time you sent it out, people just subscribe to it instantly. Incredibly powerful. So definitely one to have a look at. Now, number four, my voice is going. I've been a little bit crook of late, so this is me up late. So we'll see how we go. If you're networking, all right, so this is networking here, and want to get more referrals and introductions. So let's have a show of hands. Who's doing networking wants more referrals and introductions? Come on, Mark's like, yeah, I understand. Mark's like, right? So, but we've got this one for you. Let me give it to you. Right. So if you've got networking that you're doing and you want more introductions, then really, this is one you might have heard of this before from in a different name, but I've got a different way of running it. This is called the Royal List. Right now, the Royal List. What is that about, Pearson? Well, the Royal List came from a concept which I call Mayor of the Town. Mayor of the Town is a concept I generated, which is kind of like influencers, but not quite. Back when I started my business, I worked in the Monash municipality in Victoria, and I would go to these networking events, and they had the Monash business lunches and breakfasts. There'd be 200 odd people there. And I'm a bit of a shut-in, believe it or not. I don't really like talking to people in public, but there was one guy standing off to the side. He seemed approachable, so I went up and spoke to him. I discovered that he was the mayor of Monash. I'm like, wow. How do you become a mayor? Anyway, he told me all about that. But what was interesting about him is that he knew everybody. He knew everybody and he knew everybody's business. And so he asked me what I was up to. And then he said, hey, you should go and speak to this person because they'll give you a free event space. You should speak to this person because you can partner with them and they'll actually share your audience or share your event with another audience. I'm like, this guy's great. So I'd keep telling him about new things that would come up. Anyway, he moved on. Mayors changed hands. A younger woman came in. I'm like, she won't know anything because I'm a sexist bastard. And I went and spoke to her anyway because I thought I'd give it a shot. She knew as many people. In fact, she knew more people. They were just different people. And so I had the same relationship with her, which is fantastic. Now I'm like, how do I actually take this to a whole nother level? Well, there must be these same type of influencing people who know everybody in other places. And I've discovered that there are. The chairmen of the board, the president of the association, the state president, the national president, the people who run these networks and all that. Nick is an example of a mayor of the town. You know, he has a community around him. Okay. And so I created this little thing called the Mayor of the Town Royal List Challenge. Ta-da! Right? And so you basically treat it like Operation Desert Storm. You go and you get a deck of cards, and on the cards you write the aces. The aces is finding 4 founders within a industry that you want to make your own. You find the founders, the people who started it. You find the kings. The kings are the presidents and the people who are currently leading it. You find the queens. They're harder to find. They're usually the power brokers on the board. You know, they know everything and they know how to work everything, but they're behind the scenes. Jacks, they're the up and coming, the emerging leaders. The tens, which everyone ignores and they think that they're the gatekeeper. But these are the administrators within associations and networks who actually know everybody and how everything works. And then you've got the 2 jokers on the side. They're the media commentators, right? They're the people who have a magazine. They're maybe the editor. Maybe they've got a podcast. You go and write the name of the people that you want to introduce, and then you play the game within a month. How many of these can I flip over? Right? Fun little game. We run it every October in the Consulting Guild, and we have a lot of fun doing it. And so all sorts of rewards come out of connecting with these people, speaking to them and asking them a question. Right? So exactly the same way that I did with the mayor. All right? It's the Mayor of the Town Royal Challenge. Now, that was number 4. So we're at 5, which means I've got to move really fast. So, excuse me, if you have a lead magnet and want to increase your conversion rate, who's got a lead magnet? 1 person, 2, 3, 4, a few more. Excellent. All right. So if we want to do that, if we want to increase the conversion of our lead magnets for identity. Now, this might seem pretty basic, but if you add 4 specific audience at the end of your lead magnet, it will perform a hell of a lot better. And to give you some more specifics on that, we have lead magnets, you know, guides and like all sorts of cheat sheets and things like that, where we would put up that don't have the 4 identity, and they tend to get about 16% conversion rate. You put the for identity in, they're above 30%, right? The specificity of putting the person's identity on them makes all the difference. And you can take that idea and apply it to every single thing that you do in marketing, right? So that's a big one, actually. So so this is the cheat sheet for accountants. This is in fact, I'll really quickly show you a few. Did I not put it up? No, I did. I definitely have it. It is there. So the ultimate lead generation guide for consultants, for plumbers, for architects, for everybody, web designers and locksmiths, right? So this is an example. So you can apply the same examples to your own network or your own niche, right? So next, if you have marketing solutions but want to increase your lead generation conversion rate, again, show of hands, who wants to do that? Improving the conversion rate, right? Let's have a look. So number 6 is, and this is actually something I did mention just before, it is, where is it? It's here. I can tell you that. It's symptoms. Symptoms. So I'm going to really quickly get through this. Most people in business, and most people who are struggling in business, will be selling solutions. And that was the old way of selling in the 90s, right? We sold solutions. And then if you didn't have a solution in the 90s, you were nobody. And then the other ones, once we got to features and benefits, would sell on the problems, right? Problems. But most expertise businesses actually don't sell on the problems, they sell on the cause. So imagine you go into a doctor's office and you go, pain in my leg, doc. And they say, well, no, it's probably referred pain. You know, we need to do a whole bunch of tests and we need to find out where the cause is. And you go, well, that sounds very hard. And so you're not interested in that. But if you went to the doctor and said, doc, I've got a pain in my leg, the good bedside manner version says, so the pain in my leg, just so we're clear on that, is the symptom. That's a symptom. So if the doctor then says, well, would you like to remove that pain, aka the outcome? It's an easy yes. An easy yes. And so if all your lead generation activities focus on symptoms instead of problems and symptoms instead of solutions, you will engage all the people who want to get rid of the pain they're currently experiencing. And what I've found is that we don't even need to talk about the solution. In fact, we don't even need to talk to the cause. We can just ask, do they want to remove that pain or do they want the opposite, which is the outcome? And I get more yeses that way than any other method that we've got in our communication strategy, right? So symptoms, not problems. Symptoms, not solutions. So let's go back to symptoms. Let's look at number 7 because we're moving at speed. If you search for ideal prospects using LinkedIn or Google and want to speed up the process, anybody who wants to speed up that process, quick show of hands. Yes, I know that you're getting tired from all the hands. Well, the method is pretty straightforward, and let me show it to you. Boolean. So now, some of you who might have been in coders and might be coders, or you've got like maths in your background, understand what a Boolean is. But a Boolean search is basically where you do things like, I'm looking for accountants, and then you might put some quotes around it. So you're saying exact match accountants. Then you say accountants and then you put capitals. So we've got quotation marks, and I'm going to quickly move to here. So I know we're moving at speed. We've got quotation marks. We've got and, so accountant and business owner, or accountant or financial planner, right? And you can, and then there's not, so accountant who's not a business owner, right? And then you've got else as well. So you can use this in the LinkedIn search function, and it makes your searches so much more powerful. You can also use this in Google. And my suggestion is that if you want to know more about this, because obviously I'm just sort of covering over it lightly, is look up the word Boolean in Google, how to do a Boolean search, and it will give you even more, right? Even more opportunities for you to be even more impactful in finding exactly who you're looking for. Now, number 8, if you create social media content and want more engagement on your posts, similar to what we've said in the past, But if you want more engagement in your post, I'm going to assume that's most people. Yes, yes, yes. Hands up. Yep, hands up. Well, I've got a thumb up. I've got a finger up. I've got 2 hands up. It's fantastic. All right. So what do we need to make this happen? Well, I don't know if you've talked about this before, but outliers is number 8. What is an outlier? You have this very cool thing called social media, which is where people put content up publicly. And it shows you how many people are engaging in it. And on there are some very simple tools like vidIQ, for instance, on YouTube that say this piece of content is actually going to 50 times the amount of normal viewers, or this type of content is going to even 2 times the amount of viewers. And so what I do to find outlier posts like that, so something that's gone more viral than most things, is I will just look up in my topic on something like Instagram or YouTube or whatever it might be, and I will look for things that are above 1 million engagements. And I will borrow. I will borrow the structure down to the sentence structure, and I will replace it with my own content. And while I don't tend to get the same result, I get much better results than my current content. So finding outliers that are already successful, taking the structure, replacing it with your content, and posting it within the same social platform. So Instagram posts work on Instagram. So you take it something that's an outlier on Instagram and try and put it into LinkedIn, it won't work. But if you go to a LinkedIn outlier and take that on LinkedIn, it works. If you try and put it on Instagram, not so much. Right? So outliers, it's a very good way of finding structures that are really, really useful for you in your business. Now, what happened there? There, bang. All right, great. So we're getting to the pointy end. We've got 2 more to go. So number 9, who has, and we're going to get a show of hands on this, who has a thank you page after their lead magnet or after a form is submitted? Show of hands, who has a thank you page? 1 person. We've got 2 people. We've got 3 people. Yeah, Mark's like, yeah, I can't do it. Now, you may or may, this could be the unpopular opinion in the room. We'll find out in a second. But here's my point on thank you pages. No, thank you. From this point on, I would love you, every single one of you, to no longer have thank you pages on your websites, on your lead magnets, or anything. Someone has just engaged with you and they've made a decision with you to take a step. The hottest property, like the moment that they make that decision, they are hot for some reason, which means that you've just put them on a thank you page. You said, thank you, goodbye. I want your thank you page to be the next logical step for them based off what they just did. So if they just got a cheat sheet on how to do lead generation ideas, I might say, would you also like a video on how to implement those ideas, right? They spend more time with you. They start to consider you as an option in their world, and your leads then become prospects. Yeah. So no longer having thank you pages that say thank you, goodbye. And if anybody has one of those websites that just pops up a little thank you and then disappears, please go and change your site, please. Because we want it to land on a really valuable piece of real estate, and we want to at least put an offer there or something to enable them to take next steps. It's really, it takes a conversion and makes it so much deeper. In fact, what I do, here is a little secret, I'll whisper this one. So what I do is on my thank you page, which isn't a thank you page anymore, I say, you just got that thing. Would you like that and a bundle of 6 other things? And most people go, yeah, because the conversion rate on that page is 90%. And I say, all you have to do is answer these 3 questions. What do you want more of in your business? What do you want less of in your business? And if I was to create a training course, what would it be on? The value in that survey and the information and intelligence in that survey is basically all I need, because I've got hundreds and hundreds of these things to go, what do people want? What should I make next? Yeah, incredibly powerful, incredibly valuable. So I got 5 minutes. I'm watching the clock, Nick. I'm going to be on it. So the last one. if you make offers and want to increase your conversion rate, so this is offer based. Yeah. So who makes offers and would like to increase that conversion rate? So one person, rest of, making offers is the game, people. Like you make offers for lead magnets, you make offers for sales, you make offers to have a conversation where you drill down to increase the yeses. Yes, I would like that thing. We call it hand raisers. We want more people to say yes to the thing that we've got. And so here's the simple offer structure so that you've got something to take home with you. Not that you haven't got enough already, but here's what I've got. All right, so 1, 2, 3, 4. So here's what I've got. So here's the thing. I've got a cheat sheet, right? I've got a program. I've got a service. You don't have to overthink it. It's simple. Here's what I've got. Here's what it does for you. So in other words, the result. What result does it give you? Remember, it's got to remove a symptom or create an outcome, right? What's the result? So here's what it, now I can do here's how it does that. So what are the steps? So the cheat sheet will actually walk you through the 10 things that are increasing conversion rate by up to 80%, right? And then finally, here's how you can get it, right? So that's a complex offer structure. I learned that one from Frank Kern. It's pretty simple, but you're going to go even easier. I've got a thing. You want a thing? Offers don't have to be hard. Stop trying to sell everybody stuff. Expressions of interest are some of the most powerful ways to start a conversation with a prospect. I've got a thing. Do you want a thing? I've got a cheat sheet that increases your conversion rate by 50%. Would you like a copy? Right? Got a thing, want a thing. Or take it to this other level. Yep. So useful? Useful? Yes? No? Yes? Natalie, we're going to speak soon. Yes? Yes. Yeah, fantastic. All right. So drill down. And so what I mean by drill down on this is make it specific. And so I drill down by saying it's not about just getting more leads. We're increasing your lead conversion by 50%, or we're going to get you your next 5 leads while you sleep, right? Specificity. We're not growing your business. We're either growing your business by a certain percentage, or we're doing a specific result, which is a milestone of growing your business. The more specific you can get by drilling down on your offer, the more effective that offer is. People don't want big promises that they don't believe. They want realistic promises that they feel that they might be able to achieve at a stretch, right? If you tell people that they can become a millionaire when they don't have a millionaire's mindset, they don't believe you, and they also don't believe themselves. So they don't take the step, right? But if you say, I will show you how to get an extra $5,000 in the next 2 weeks, they go, oh, okay, I'm curious. What is that? All right, makes sense? Cool. So let's have a look. What have we got here? We've got like so many things we've talked about. So I'm going to do another speed run. All right. So to do another speed run, I've got to play this because that's what we're doing here today. All right. To do a speed run. So I'm going to do another Sonic speed run. So the way that I'm going to do this Sonic speed run is I'm going to run through every single one of these ideas. Are you ready? So we start at the top with hook 'em. We're going to hook them in. We're going to increase the engagement in the content at the start. We're going to create pre-calls for all our events, so we're good service providers, and we get bookings made when we do the pre-call. We're going to create a LinkedIn newsletter. We're going to do a Mayor of the Town Royal Challenge, or we're going to meet some of those Mayor of the Towns by identifying who is on the Royal list. We're going to add 4 specific identity at the end of any content we create that is something to download. We're going to talk about symptoms instead of problems, symptoms instead of solutions. We're going to do Boolean searches to find more people. We're going to look at outlier content so we can engage people with structures that we haven't got that give us the structures that work. We're going to say no more to thank yous. We're going to put offers on the thank you page, and we're going to drill down on those to make sure that we are more effective in what we are offering. If you want the list of all these things, here's that QR code again. 3, 2, 1, bang. All right, it's gone. And so really, the only question left to answer is, number one, I would love to hear from the people in the audience. What is the one thing that was useful for you? Just one thing that's either useful, insightful, or you're going to implement within the next couple of days. I would really like to know what that is, right? Now, really quickly, what is that? Let's see if people have actually put it into the chat. No one's putting anything into the chat because they're thinking. The LinkedIn newsletter was interesting. Tim, I recommend doing it 100%. It is one of the more useful things that you can do. Not to have a thank you page, absolutely, but don't just not have a thank you page, replace it with something relevant that people can step into. Social media outliers, yeah, finding those things that are working and actually replicate those things as well. I'd love every single one of you to put that in the cards. Royal, absolutely. The Royal List Challenge is the thing there. Now, just to sum this up, look, the reality is the games have changed. My kids are now playing with these insane games that are hyper realistic. I'm playing with them too, let's be honest. And the tactics haven't really changed in marketing, right? And business, but maybe the tools that we use have certainly changed, right? So the games may have changed. But at the end of the day, this number is still true, which means that energy is such a huge part of your business and your ability to continue to move forward in your business. And hopefully, if you implement some of these things, hopefully is that you will implement some of these things, because if you do, it enables you to get more energy back for the things that matter. Nick, thank you very much. Thank you, every single person here, for your engagement and your participation. Obviously, over to you, Nick. You tell us where to go from here.
Fabulous. Excellent. What a whole fire hose of information, but all excellent. And I think I probably put you under pressure there, saying that this is all we've got time for. Who here got something there that they think, or something new out of, actually, I'm going to ask you a question. It's either new or something you already knew, but you're not doing, that you can implement. Anyone got that there? Yep. Fantastic. Excellent. That's really what tonight's about tonight. If anyone wants to get in touch with you, Russell, I know the answer to that. It's to scan the QR code, because they'll be on your list. Or how else do they get in touch with you?
So yeah, if you want to get in touch with me, then LinkedIn's really good. Yep. Because then I can see your face. That's always useful. You can also you can email me. I don't care if you email me either. It's russell@russellpearson.com. SSL, the way Russell should be spelt, for those people who think it should only have one L. And yeah, there's the LinkedIn profile. You can 100% get me there. Connect with me. Ask any questions. More than happy to continue to support you after tonight.
Fabulous. Excellent. And if anyone missed the QR code that was up on screen twice, it'll be going out in the email that you'll get later on tonight as well too. So you can grab those resources that Russell's got. And I have to say, I'm really impressed, Russell. When I subscribed to that flow that you had there, everything you talked about is exactly what you delivered on the way through that workflow, right down to those very questions. So you definitely walk what you talk.
Here's a little trick one too. On a landing page, because what you do is you'll get the resource for today's event, right? So resources to today's event, if you're running events, put it at 25% of the way in. Don't sell it. Don't sell it on the page. They're just resources.
100%.
Very simple for people to
and I like the fact that you put it in early.
Yeah.
Your QR
That's my
code.
point. 25% of the way into your presentation.
Yeah. Yep. So excellent. All right. Well, look, I was going to say, any questions here? How are we going for time? We've probably got time for a couple of questions. If anyone's got a question or a comment.
And they can be specific too. Like if it's specifically about your business, more than happy to go there.
Fabulous. Aldrin.
Yeah, I really enjoyed that. Thank you, Russell. I've seen you speak a few times, and specifically what I loved about today, being a speaker myself, I loved how you had that really funky background. So I'm really curious how you did that. How did you have that sort of space effect going on there? What did you do?
Yeah. So Ecamm, is the piece of software I'm using, but like a lot of that sort of presentation stuff is really just about thinking creatively about how you can use simple software, because it's not a difficult piece of software to use, but I've layered things over the top of one another so it looks like it's doing more than it actually is.
Very good. I loved it. Thank you. And great content too.
Thank you. Appreciate it.
Thanks.
Jeff.
Excellent. All right, Jeff.
Yeah, just a little quick question. You were talking about making the lead magnet specific for a particular industry. Could I just use the same lead magnet and label one lot for electricians, one for plumbers?
Yeah, the only thing I would suggest is that you change any of the language inside as well,
right.
because, but it's not hard. Yeah, and so that's exactly right. You can also take the same concept if you're submitting articles to magazines or even online magazines these days, which is you can take an article and you can repurpose. And so by adding for the name of the thing, it becomes really, really an easy yes for the editor and for the person downloading. And just to take one further step, let's say you're doing a presentation. Let's say I've got cheat codes, lead generation cheat codes. If I want to do I'll talk to accountants again because they start with A. If I want to do it for the CPA, events, I will say 10 lead generation hacks or codes for accountants. And suddenly it makes it so much more powerful and engaging. And then the committee goes, well, he's creating stuff specifically for our audience, so we'll say yes.
Good. Thank you.
Yeah. I learned that one from a very grumpy old bugger called Winston Marsh, who I absolutely love. And he taught me that years ago, and I've been using it ever since.
Actually, I think I've still got all of these CDs that Winston put out years ago.
Well, he's still out there kicking, and from time to time I have coffee with him, so he's still around.
Excellent, excellent. David.
What a brilliant, there was literally we're on fire with the host, real, wasn't it? But I love your studio. So that's all lit up like that, what you've got there? Is that just set up in a room or? Yeah,
it's a room. Yeah. They're real books in it there. I've got real beakers and with weird stuff in them. I think that one's growing something, but yeah.
Yes, I've got a bit of a setup, but I haven't got that on because I just use a different camera for that one.
Yeah, back when COVID happened, I'd been doing virtual presentation. I'd already set myself up in 2019 to start doing that sort of work. And so when it happened, obviously I was in the world of speakers and everybody was doing everything. And so they're using virtual presentations. And by not using a virtual background, it changed the feel and the engagement. And so I've always now since then created these backgrounds, and all you have to do is look for a corner. Find a corner, becomes really nice to create perspective to you.
Yeah, because I do it for the podcast and all the rest of it, and you move around and the light and all that type of thing, and it takes a lot to sort of get it around. But I like
especially with your glasses, right? So tomorrow morning I'm going to get an assessment for that LASIK eye surgery, so I might completely change the look. But when you've got glasses in particular, getting the lights right, can be tricky.
Yeah, because the reflection from them.
That's right.
Yeah.
Excellent. Tell all the podcasters and webinar people coming out of the woodwork now, asking about your studio setup.
Exactly. That's right. That's cool. That's so much fun.
Yeah, that's fantastic.
Excellent. Tim.
Hey, Russell, thanks for your presence, your energy, and your delivery this evening. Now, I am sort of just dipping my toe into this, and I'm interested but overwhelmed. If you were to sort of give someone a pointer to what they should get into first and narrow down on, what will you actually suggest to someone who's just entering this field?
I used to give all sorts of suggestions, but right now I say niche. Pick an audience. Just pick a specific audience you want to speak to. Now, you are helping people with sleep apnea. Is that what I'm getting?
No, we'll just sleep. Yeah, people who can't sleep, can't get back to sleep, have trouble getting out of bed.
Yeah. Then let me just help you with that. There are symptomatic pieces that sit under sleep issues. One of those is sleep apnea. One of those is getting out of bed or being sore in the morning. There's the people thinking pillows, right? Thinking that that's the answer. drilling down into that and start speaking about the specifics, people respond far deeper. And so you can talk about all the different symptoms that people experience on the other end of a bad night's sleep, and you will start to attract those people. Go, that's me. I've got that problem. And then, you know, if you're getting into content creation, that's the content to start creating. It's things that people identify with.
Like you were mentioned in, I think it was it 8 symptoms?
Yeah. There's all sorts of different symptoms. What I recommend is to pick 3 to start with and start focusing in on them. And when people bite, you know, people go, oh, that, you know, more people engage with your content, you know, that's a good symptom to keep working with. If people don't engage with it, you can just adjust. It's all prototyping and messaging.
Yeah, roger that.
Yeah, fantastic. I love working with ex-military. It's fantastic.
Fabulous. Excellent. Well, I think that's probably all we've got time for the questions. But it's not time to go yet, because before we do the next part, let's just give Russell a big virtual round of applause for all the stuff that he shared tonight.
Hey, appreciate it.
And you've actually got a door prize for tonight as well too.
Yep.
So do you want to tell us what that is?
Yeah, sure. It's a couple of months, I think, in the Consulting Guild. The Consulting Guild is a community for people who are specialists in what they do, who want consulting as part of the services that they offer. It has all my training, a really good community with networking in it. Everyone's paying a minimum $100 a week to be in there, but you'll get the 2 months for nothing. So even if you didn't have a consulting business, the marketing side of the training that we've got in there is going to be hyper useful for you as well.
Fabulous. Excellent. All right. Well, we do have our special way of drawing that there. Anyone want to win that tonight? Those that don't, just put your hand down. We can just take you out of the wheel. No, everyone wants it. All right. So we have our wheel of names here. Everybody's names in it. Do not duck off and go to the loo or top up your glass of wine now, because you need to speak to me when you win it. Otherwise, we just redraw. All right, let's spin the wheel, see how lucky winner is tonight. Virtual drum roll, please. And it's coming around, and our lucky winner is Monica Devine. Are you still here, Monica? All right, I'm looking for you through the people. Monica, bring open your microphone if you are here. Oh, I think she might have disappeared.
I don't think she's here.
Yes, I think she's gone. Well, lucky for everybody else. Anyone knows Monica, let her know that she won tonight, but she didn't walk away with a prize, because some other lucky winner's going to get it. So second round, the wheel. Let's spin that wheel again and see who our second winner is. And it's coming through. Look at this, David Fisher.
Hey, Mr. David Fisher.
Well, you're going to get the lowdown on how to set up an incredible podcast and webinar studio.
Now, what we've also got is we'll have a one-on-one strategy session,
cool.
not just to onboard you into the system, but also to actually give you a plan, usually like a 6-week plan to implement whatever you're looking to do next.
That'll be cool.
Absolutely.
Thank you very much.
Actually, haven't you won before, David?
No, I haven't. I've never won. This is the very first time ever.
Is it? Yeah,
Yes.
I think you're pulling my leg, aren't you?
No, it's actually true. It is true.
It is true.
Yeah.
I was going to say that you can't win more than one prize on the show, but
That's
not true either. So.
JC won one time, but I've always missed out. Yeah.
Oh, there you go. Well, congratulations. Well done. Worth spending your time here tonight. All right. Well, look, if you have enjoyed this presentation, it will be up on the Smashco YouTube channel tomorrow. If you know someone else that might be interested in lead generation or doing a bit better with their leads in their business, point them to that YouTube channel. If you're not a subscriber of it, we're going to drop that into chat right now. So if you hit the subscribe button and then hit the bell beside it, and you'll get a notification as soon as it's uploaded. Also, the Business Owners Smashing Online Facebook group. If you're not a member of that, go and join. I know a couple of people joined tonight, and we let them in tonight. All those resources are there. We'll be back here again next week at the same time, new topic. So if you're free next week, come along. If you're not free, make some time, come along, because tonight was sensational. Guarantee next week will be as well too. Let's give a big thank you to Russell, and let's go and have a good night. Thank you for tuning in and listening to the Business Owners Smashing It Online podcast. You can also find me on social media and online. Just search for Business Owners Smashing It Online and Nick Cree, spelled Nickcree, all one word. If you like this and want to hear more, subscribe now. Until next time, don't be a slave to your business. Get your business working for you.